My name is Nick Knutson. I'm the executive director at DemCast USA. DemCast is a 501c4 nonprofit dedicated to lifting the voices of grassroots activists in the digital space, fighting disinformation, and winning the information war. We are exceptionally excited to host this conversation today. We've been doing a lot of work for the last couple of weeks, as a lot of you on the call have as well. Obviously tracking what's happening in Ukraine, and also fighting disinformation. We will in social spaces. We will talk more about that later. But what that project is, and hopefully if you're not involved in that yet, we can get you involved. But for right now, I wanted to just hand the mic, so to speak, over to a good friend of ours, Charles Newman. Charles is a amazing activist and thinker and writer and host of his own series of Zoom call conversations from his home state of Michigan. And he is also one of our DemCast Michigan captains. Charles, I'm going to just go ahead and hand this over to you so that you can do your interview magic with our very special guest.
Thank you, Nick. If you could start my video. I'm not saying it adds anything to the enjoyment of the session on the part of our viewers, but
Charles, I'm not able to hear you.
Well, that is an issue.
I can hear Chuck. I think, can the audience hear Chuck? Yeah, the chat says yes.
Yep. So Nick, when I try and start my video, it says that the host has stopped it. So yeah, while I can appreciate well, that's not necessarily an irrational thing to do. It is unconventional. So why don't I get started in any case? And also, if you could show our guest who's joining us from Ukraine today, Eugene Kalnyk. Eugene, can you say hello? So while that's taking place, we're sure that you can hear us.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I see that I can use my microphone. Video is also disabled at the moment, but yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we get started? And as Nick alluded to, Eugene and I, along with a colleague of his, Nicole Borman, had an opportunity to speak on Monday. And it was a great honor to hear from him. And he's kindly agreed to allow us to get updates and to reach a wider audience. Taking a look at the participants, I see we have lots of folks here who were not on our session Monday. Eugene, where are you right now in Ukraine?
I'm now close to the city of Pereyaslav, which is around 70 miles south of Kyiv. It's a safe area for now. Most of the fighting around Kyiv has been in the north and northwest. So yeah, I'm now in Pereyaslav. Ironically, this is the where in the 17th century, Ukrainians and Russians signed a treaty, and Russia said it would protect Ukraine against the Polish, but then and keep Ukraine autonomous, but then slowly it just made Ukraine part.
You're
at the location where all this started.
You're not suggesting perhaps that you don't trust the Russians anymore, are you?
Of course not. Of course not.
I do remember a little something about when Ukraine agreed to give up its nuclear weapons. There were assurances given that don't seem to have been honored. Now, when we spoke last, your colleague joined us. Is she safe?
Yes, she is safe. She is in the west of Ukraine, but this week has been hard on her emotionally, and with her having to flee. So she actually asked to take the rest of the week off, just to take care of herself. But she is in a safe location. Yes.
Good. I imagine that many of your fellow countrymen are similarly stressed. How are you holding up?
I'm doing all right. And it seems that the farther you are from where like all this war going on, the harder it is on you as a Ukrainian, I think so. Because I think a lot of people either feel guilty that they are not close to their homes or cannot help, or actually the move itself is a lot of stress being on the road, trying to find shelter, trying to find food and all of these things. So I'm being fairly close to Kiev, and I'm surrounded by my colleagues. So I'm actually I'm in a, I think like in a good place right now. And I've recently managed to get my wife and her mother out of Kharkiv, which has been heavily shelled. It's a city in the east. As of now, I think things are a little bit better for me than they used to be in the emotional from the emotional perspective.
Any plans for your family to leave Ukraine?
Not at the moment. So far, it's kind of hard to say where will be a safe place, or at least like within Ukraine, because one day your location is safe, another day your city is bombed. But for now, like our plan is we're trying to be where it's safe during this day, and then if it becomes unsafe, then we'll probably have to move somewhere west. But I hope it won't come to that. Somehow being closer to home gives you some hope and even some strength that everything will be okay. Like your home is your fortress. You know how things are, and it for a lot of people it's scary to move somewhere into the unknown. So for now, my family and I are staying where we are, and then we'll see how it goes.
Now, I asked you this question Monday, and I thought your response was interesting. And that is, what did your grandparents tell you about living when Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union?
Oh yeah, I remember I shared the recollection of my grandfather, who was a young Russian Soviet Navy sailor, or he was like a conscript, like he wasn't even a professional sailor, and they were sent to Cuba during the missile crisis on very old ships. They were understaffed, and it looked like they were sent there for some kind of a provocation. So they would just, I don't know, to provoke the US to attack and just to sacrifice their lives in order to escalate the crisis. But fortunately, nothing happened. But that's one of the things that my grandfather deeply resents the Soviet Union for, because the way they treated people as they're not just people, are like just pawns in a grand checkerboard.
I take it that you have enough food and water, but and other essentials. What are you hearing from the cities that are under Russian control at this point?
The territories that are controlled by Ukraine, we do have food. Maybe you see the empty shelves in the supermarkets, but still you can find the essentials, and it's fine. But the ones that have been occupied or have been encircled by the Russian army, like the situation there is very, very difficult from the humanitarian perspective. It looks like the Russians have changed their tactics from mere attacks with their soldiers, tanks, and everything they have, to bombing cities with airplanes, with artillery, and cutting off those cities, the ones that have been occupied, cutting them off from electricity, from water supply, from heating, because there's fierce resistance from people. Even there are lots of peaceful protests in the cities where the Russian soldiers are. And they are trying, by actually depriving these people of essential means of survival, they are trying to make them less resistant and try to submiss them. From also what we heard from Mariupol and some southern cities is that the Russians are not allowing any humanitarian aid to come into cities by international organizations such as the Red Cross. And the only thing they allow is some aid that they kind of provide, and they try to make people accept the aid from them. And there was a week ago in Kherson, in a city in the south, the Russians brought some humanitarian aid, and people refused to take it. But they still staged a video that there were thankful locals and things like that. So they're basically trying to either have people starve or actually, yes, submit to their rule. And some of the humanitarian corridors, evacuation corridors that now have been organized, the Russians are not allowing people to go to Ukraine. And the only way they allow people to escape those cities is to go to the Crimea that is occupied by Russia, or just to the Russian Federation. So people are basically taken hostage in those places.
Are the humanitarian supplies reaching free Ukraine at this point? Are they coming from outside the Ukraine?
Yes, there have been a lot of humanitarian aid from the Western countries, like going through Poland and other countries. And for the cities that are under Ukraine's control, they have been getting the humanitarian aid for all of the displaced people who moved to safer locations. But the cities that are already under control of Russia, it's really difficult to get that aid from the international community to those places. And so those are the hottest places that are in most danger, actually.
And again, on Monday, you described the effect of the war on the children. Would you mind telling us again what you?
Oh yeah, it's there have been a lot of actually losses among the children because some of the hospitals, the children's hospitals, have been bombed, and a lot of children are also, they have to hide in the shelters, and parents have to describe what's going on, and a lot of them are scared. And I think like kids who are around 4 years old and older, it's really difficult for them because they start to realize what is going on. And for the parents, I think that's like the biggest nightmare, that when they see that their children are scared and they don't know how to console them or how to explain what's going on. And a lot of children need help. There's like some children who are now who remained without parents because they have been killed or something happened to them. And it looks like the Russian forces, actually, they don't discriminate between who they want to target, whether these are Ukrainian army or these are just helpless children and women in the facilities. For example, 2 days ago in Mariupol, Russia has bombed a maternity hospital where moms were just giving birth to little kids, and that's actually a horrible act of terrorism of what was going on there. And there are like many situations like that, unfortunately.
Are there corridors that people can leave these cities and leave the Ukraine as well? Leave Ukraine as well?
In some cities, there are corridors that lead only to Russia, and people cannot escape like west or someplace else. In other cities, there are corridors. In some places they are safer. In other places they're not. And even though the Red Cross has been helping with organizing those corridors, there still have been shooting, and it looks like it's a Russian roulette with that corridor. Like one day it may mean that you will escape the besieged city. Another day it may mean that you will be shot at, and the chances of survival not going to be very high. And in some places like Bucha, which is northwest of Kiev, a lot of families are still hiding in basements, even though the official corridors are organized, because there's still so many reports of people being shot at while the evacuation was going on. So it's pretty difficult situations with those corridors. But yeah, there have been successful cases of people escaping, but sadly there also have been like these awful cases when just peaceful civilians were shot at during evacuation.
What's the morale in the country like?
The morale it's pretty high, but it looks like we're approaching the third week of war. People are getting tired with the Russians trying to target civilian infrastructure. It does have this psychological effect that that is not very good. But overall, I would say that the morale is very high, with people uniting their efforts, trying to coordinate, trying to help the army, trying to help the displaced people. I think never before has the nation been so united in trying to help each other. And I think in Ukraine, the word volunteer, even though it's an English word that came to Ukrainian, it now mostly means a person who helps, who provides some support, whether to the army by buying, for example, helmets or bulletproof vests, or people who try and buy some medicine and things like that. So in Ukrainian realia, volunteers are kind of like logistical heroes that the civilians that help the army and everyone in need to get the supplies that they might need, whether this is some protective equipment or medicine or food or anything like that. So if you say the word volunteer, a lot of Ukrainians will think about this kind of a person.
Speaking of volunteers, there are reports here in the Western press that Russia is seeking volunteers. Have you heard or seen anything about this? And have there been volunteers to help Ukraine?
Yes, from what we've heard, that Russia has been seeking volunteers in Syria and other places, and they are actively calling to people to join. In Ukraine, if we're talking about common Ukrainians, like I am, who have or have not, like I haven't had any military experience before, but people are coming to the military offices and signing up, and there have been lots of people who would like to join the army or the territorial defense units, and there have been much more people who want to join than actually the military can take in for now. And also, I think a week or 2 weeks ago, Ukraine announced that we are creating an international legion, and now people from all over the world who want to come and join Ukrainian armed forces can do so. and we already have the first reports of those volunteers that already are defending Kyiv, and there have been actually thousands of people around the world who said that they would want to come and join Ukraine actually in combat.
And what is the morale of the army?
The morale of the army is very high. It looks like Russia seemed to be this big, scary monster that everyone was afraid of. But from a lot of failures that we've seen from Russia in terms of strategy and actually in terms of their low morale, like Ukrainians have been successfully defending our territories, our cities, and from it just looks like that most of the battles that have been happening on the ground, they have been in favor of Ukrainian army and Ukrainian defenders. And a lot of Russians are actually surrendering because what they expected was that they would really come and try to liberate someone who would greet them and be happy about that. But people are actually protesting, people are resisting. And I think a lot of Russian soldiers start realizing that they have been lied to and that Ukraine doesn't need saving from anyone. And they just surrender, and they don't know what they are fighting for, while Ukrainians we're defending our own land, and we have a lot to fight for, and this thing that this is really inspiring to all of us, that we know that we are on our own land, and we have no other place to go, and we were standing strong. And there's a lot of confidence in people that we will actually win this war. If in the beginning, when the attack started, there has been a lot of people were not sure about it and thought that the end of the world would come with the Russian attack. But with Ukrainians successfully deflecting most of those attacks, there is growing confidence that Ukraine will be able to stay strong and actually win in the end.
It's such a laudatory act of courage that Ukraine and its president stood up to Russia, feeling that their chances of surviving an attack weren't all that good. Where does that resolve come from? Is that part of Ukrainian spirit? Where do you think?
I think so. I think since 1991, we have had two what we call them peaceful revolutions in 2004 and in 2014, when people, when they see that something bad is going on, they're going, for example, to the streets to protest. And these have been protests that have been going on for several months, for example, and people learn to organize and to help each other and to coordinate. And I think, like, in times like this unity helps a lot. And in 2014, when Russia occupied Crimea and attacked the eastern part of Ukraine called Donbass, we haven't had many actually. The Ukrainian army was really poor, weak, and it had been destroyed for a long time by the government, and I think with the help of Russia as well. But ever since 2014, when the people these volunteers have helped army to get the equipment, and with their support, somehow that invasion didn't go very deep into the country. We saw that we could resist, and after 2014, there has been a huge renaissance, a lot of reforms going on, and our government also worked on making our army stronger, and there has been a lot of support from the West. And even right now, we see that Ukrainian army is much better equipped than common Russian soldiers. A lot of Russian soldiers don't have like bulletproof vests and things like that, just to protect themselves. And I think that's also the difference in morale where it comes from, where you even see that our government and our people do support the army. We make sure that they're equipped well. We make sure that they have everything they need, while common Russian soldiers are often under equipped, and they just feel a lot of times they feel that they are betrayed by their own government.
Some people feel that Ukrainians voted for a mixture of Benny Hill and Boris Johnson, and they somehow wound up with Churchill. So he's been a bit of a surprise to many, I suspect. We're going to shortly get into what we here in America can do to help. But Janet, if there are any questions other than pertaining to that topic, could you relay them to Eugene for us?
Yeah, a lot of people are puzzled by all this sort of, it sounds like a myth about the Azov Battalion, that there's supposedly a wormy neo-Nazi group that is active in Ukraine. Is that something? Is that a thing? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about Azov, but from what I know, that they are one of the first battalions, and it was a volunteer battalion that actually organized in 2014 to organize to resist the Russian invasion in the Donbass. I am not sure that they are actually neo-Nazis and racist and things like that. But from what I heard, that they are, they do have nationalist viewpoints, and they're leaning to the right, but they are not. They're not threatening, like what they're doing. They're resisting the Russian aggression, and I guess, like, if you think about that, like every Ukrainian would be in the similar. Would have similar viewpoints, that you need to resist and protect yourself. But there is a battalion like that, but I've never heard them actually trying to somehow do something bad to Ukrainian citizens. What they're doing, they are trying to protect all the Ukrainian citizens from the Russian invasion as well. But they might have like this right or like the right viewpoints and stuff like that, right? Which I mean they're leaning towards there, but that's not something that I would say Ukrainians are like scared of, or they're not terrorizing anyone. So, and that's what Russia have been trying to use a lot, is to show that there are some far-right organizations in Ukraine, and they need to be fought against. And I'm sure there are some of those organizations in Ukraine, just like in any other country, like to the same extent. And in Ukraine, after 2013, we haven't had a nationalist party in the parliament. Before, actually, during the times of President Yanukovych, before 2013, there was one party that openly said that we're a nationalist party. but not after that. And actually that whole narrative of Russians saying that the Ukrainians are neo-Nazis and stuff like that, they're like really false. Like of course, if you just look at the parliament, if you look at the city councils, you wouldn't see any like neo-Nazis or right-winged populists there. That's and that's like, I think that's a good reflection of the Ukrainian society as a whole.
I know that the Russian-speaking areas were, in terms of the last elections, were pretty divided from the rest of Ukraine. Do you have any sense? Do you get any news as to how they're feeling about this invasion? Are they supporting it, or how's it going in that area?
That's that's the narrative that Putin has been using, I think, since 2014, that the Russian-speaking regions of Ukraine want to be with Russia. They're afraid of some neo-Nazis and stuff like that. And historically, those regions have voted for closer ties with Russia, but not anymore, because now, as you see, Kharkiv is the city in the east, is the second largest city in Ukraine. It has been heavily bombarded, and that's not but by the Russians, and people understand who do that. And I think that when people see what Russians are doing to them and to their cities, to their loved ones, that lean towards Russia immediately disappears. And we see that in the cities in the south of Ukraine that have been occupied and that traditionally voted for pro-Russian politicians, people are organizing in protests, coming out with Ukrainian flags, even though there are already Russian soldiers there. So they swiftly become more like pro-European and less pro-Russian. And I think with this attack, Putin has erased all of those illusions that some people might have had towards Russia. And there hasn't been a Ukrainian president that had united Ukrainians as much as Putin did, actually. He has united the nations, the nation, the way non-Ukrainian president ever did. And I think with this attack, Russia has also, they have been building massive campaigns and trying to persuade people to want them be a part of Russia. But after the attack, that all disappeared. They all like destroyed all of what they done themselves by years of trying to influence people to be friendlier to Russia. Now that is all gone with that.
Yeah. Wow. One last one before we go on to what can people do. How are people feeling about how slow and how foot dragging the United States has been, that we're not yet giving the aid that you need?
Yeah, it's actually difficult to assess that one, because there are some people that, yes, urge the US and NATO to be more active and protect Ukraine and things like that. But I think it's just easy from being here, just try to I don't even blame someone for being slow and things like that on the one hand. And I wouldn't say that there is some common sentiment that people in Ukraine are bewildered that the US is not doing enough. Of course, some people are, and there always will be people like that. But personally, from my perspective, the US and the West have been doing a lot with all the sanctions, with all the defensive equipment and all the javelins and all the weapons that have been sent over here, because this really helps us to withstand this aggression. And we do understand that we have to rely a lot on our own here, but we also, like never before, feel the support of the rest of the world, because it feels like the rest, like we are now being a part of the democratic world itself. It's like not Western democracies and Ukraine anymore. It looks like actually the whole world is now united to resist Putin in any way they can. Some countries do it with sanctions. Some businesses withdraw their companies from the Russian market. And yeah, some people do more, some people do less. But I'm actually really grateful to everyone in the world that they are being supportive immensely, like from actually from the United States to the Philippines. Like we see the support, and from the places we wouldn't even think that they would know where Ukraine is.
You've probably seen the news today that Biden is announcing cutting off all commercial ties. So
Oh yeah,
a big one. Okay,
So
Chuck.
let's get to the most important part of this session. That is what we can do to help. What can we do to help, Eugene?
Well, I think the first thing is trying to resist all the disinformation that's coming from Russia, because it feels like the narrative is very important, and this is looks like the battle of the democratic world with the totalitarian regimes, and we have to be united as ever. And in terms of this disinformation campaigns, we need to make sure that the Russian attacks won't make us won't sow the dissent between us. We need to all stay united, and we also need to be to show solidarity with Ukraine and our people, because there will be and still and now a lot of information that Ukraine is not worth helping, that Ukraine is corrupt, or no, Ukraine is developing nuclear weapons. There are like a lot of insane things, but they're all just directed to try and yeah, to loosen our confidence that we need to stay united here, and that's what we all need to right now. And in terms of other efforts, actually helping Ukrainians through donations is a huge thing, because there are now big, as I said, humanitarian issues. There are a lot of people without electricity or food supplies. There are a lot of displaced people, and you can try and donate to different initiatives like those. You can also, there are direct accounts to support the humanitarian initiatives through the National Bank of Ukraine. There are accounts for supporting Ukrainian army. There are other charities that are also based in the US that you can donate to, and they also provide lots of humanitarian help here inside Ukraine. So this is another big thing that a lot of that can help save lives of people by giving them the means to get food, to get clothes, to actually stay alive. And the third direction is to make sure that your government is with Ukraine and supporting Ukraine in any ways they can. Same goes with sanctions, with providing equipment to Ukrainians, and also, like, we still hope that the Western world will help us to close the sky, to impose the no-fly zone. We know that there has been a lot of resistance and hesitation there, but what we hope, so if there is a no-fly zone over Ukraine, there is a chance that there won't be a need to impose such a zone over any other Western country, actually. And I think so. These are the three biggest things that we can do is to stay united and combat disinformation, to help Ukraine and Ukrainians with donations, and to advocate for Ukraine with your representatives and senators and everyone who can help on the governmental level.
So we now have our assignment. DemCast was formed to fight disinformation. So Nick, can you tell us what resources DemCast has developed for us to assist in this regard, Ukraine? And Eugene, you might want to take a look at what you're seeing and see if there's anything there that's your favorite or favorites so that we can emphasize those. Nick, can you take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, everybody, about the technical difficulties at the beginning. You would think after 2 years of being virtual for COVID, I'd be able to manage a Zoom hosting session. So sorry about that. Eugene, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing all this amazing info about what's going on internally in the country. We DemCast basically as soon as the invasion started. We felt like we had to do something, and as Charles said, a big reason that we founded the organization in the first place was to fight disinformation. So we felt like we had some positioning here. So we quickly launched a new project and started recruiting people to use their social media accounts to spread the truth and push back against Kremlin lies. And so far, we've recruited almost 2,000 people and activated folks. We're sorting people on different social media platforms. We have a new Facebook group that we started. We've got people sorted into Twitter direct message groups, and we're connecting with people, via email and text and everything, with kind of rapid response when something comes out from a Russian account or a Russian proxy account that needs to be taken down. We're mass reporting them. We're spreading positive pro-Ukrainian messaging 24/7. And it's been amazing in the first couple of weeks. On Twitter, there's been a I Stand With Putin movement of bots and trolls that has gotten some pretty good traction. But I'm happy to say that our digital army has beat them in terms of volume. Our impressions and our reach are quite a bit higher than that group, and that's because we're real people who are mission driven, and we have actual followers, and we aren't a bunch of paid or artificial accounts. But this is the kind of work. This is, I think what we're doing gets dismissed by a lot of people who have power as kind of superfluous or unnecessary, but we believe that it is actually essential, and we're very, very heartened by all of the amazing volunteers who've come on board and been super active for the last few weeks. So we're going to keep this going. We're going to just continue to grow it. We've been sharing the join link in the chat for people who are on the call who might not be a part of that effort yet, and just encourage you all to join if you haven't already, and if you have, make sure that you're sharing sharing the opportunity with people in your network. That we can't get loud enough because the the Russians will not stop pushing their propaganda. It's one of the main tools that Putin's been using for the last decade to disrupt the West, and it's a major fight or a major front on their fight against Ukraine. So yeah, thank you everybody for being a part
Could
of
we
that.
actually look at say the social toolkit Ukraine? Could somebody share that with us?
Yeah, just a sec. And when I was having technical difficulties at the beginning, I had to move my hosting capacity over to somebody else. So, Lori, it looks like Lori's jumping in here. Thanks, Lori. So this is our social toolkit. We can drop in the chat the link here, but basically, you know, this is a way for people, a link that people can go to if you just need to you know, want to do something but you only have a minute, or you're standing in line at the grocery store and want to do some micro activism, you know, just sharing one of these posts with your followers and friends that gets truth out, that gets pro-Ukrainian messaging out is really helpful. This link is going to be evolving, or the link will be consistent, but the content will be evolving over the next few weeks. We, as a part of this project, in addition to just amplification, we are in the process of developing teams specific to content curation and writing of fresh posts. So basically, in a week or so, we want people to be able to come to this page every day and see totally fresh content, and have it be sort of evolving as the news cycle evolves. At the moment, we've got you know, what's up there right now, we've had up for about a week while we're just sort of getting organized and getting all of our teams put together. But once that's put together, this will be it'll be something that you can go to that'll be continuously relevant and news cycle connected.
And the link for this is
in the chat.
It's in the chat.
Okay, super. Share DemCast USA,
And
etc.
And we're also, for folks on the team who actually sign up, we'll make sure to keep you updated about the evolution of this toolkit. We're also developing a sort of a handbook for our volunteers that talks about sort of what to focus on narratively and what not to focus on narratively on social media in connection to this, and also just like all the different strategies that we can engage in, from commenting to reporting accounts to sharing proactive messaging. So that'll all be coming in the next week or so via email and text and other ways for people who've signed up.
Terrific. And everybody who registered for this session will have.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Great. Can we take a quick peek, or would it be useful to take a quick peek at the Facebook page? Maybe not. I see there are still questions that people would like to have answered. So we're asking all of you, if you're part of DemCast, you're here to fight disinformation. And if you haven't been convinced in the last hour or so for the need to do so, you must have been having lunch with your speaker off. This is, I don't have to say this is important. You know this is important. And Eugene, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you work for?
Sure. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you for what you're doing at DemCast, and this is fantastic. And I think that's actually why there is such a high morale both in Ukraine and everywhere abroad, is because we are real people and we know what we are fighting for. And it looks like the truth is actually winning. It has much more passion, and actually, yeah, that's what makes us human. And thank you so much for what you're doing in helping to actually resist all of this disinformation and to spread the truthful messages. And as to your question, yes, I work for a software development company called MacPaw. We develop software mostly for Apple ecosystem, for Macs and iPhones. We have started, the company have begun in 2008. It was founded from a dorm room of Alexander Kosovan in Kyiv. And we are all, actually, most of us are based in Kyiv, Ukraine. We have around, I think, 400 people right now. But because of the war, we are now actually disseminated all over the world. And just today, my colleagues have released a map where we can see in which place our colleagues are, so we can connect if someone is, for example, in Poland or in the US and things like that. And our company, we develop applications. For example, CleanMyMac is one of our most popular applications for optimization and cleaning your system. And we make consumer products. But when the war have begun, we are still making sure that we operate. We have a stable operation, that we give access, non-stop access to our products. Everything works well. But now a lot of us are also turning to fighting the disinformation online. We have been running advertisements on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok that I directed actually to Russians to show them the truth, what's going on there. We have put together a blog post with truthful information and sources about what's going on in Ukraine. And we have sent notifications through our application to our users, so they can also have access to that information. And a lot of people in Russia and Belarus also saw our messages and were able to read them before they were blocked by Russian government. So our website is now blocked in Russia. And just a couple of days ago, we have also joined the humanitarian relief effort. We have a MacPaw Development Foundation that we have run a lot of social initiatives in Ukraine before the war, and they were like, some of them were educational, some of them were helping hospitals with ventilators during COVID. But now we are also shifting to helping connect big suppliers of the humanitarian aid in Europe with volunteers here in Ukraine who can locally distribute and deliver the aid to people who need those in the hotspots.
Janet, would you put the link to the MacPaw's Foundation into chat if you haven't already?
Yeah, it's there again.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Eugene, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, we are a software developer based in Ukraine, and we're also now doing everything we can to help resist this invasion.
And all of you, it wouldn't hurt if you went out and bought some MacPaw's products, help them as they are doing such wonderful work for their country. Janet, is there any one or two questions that are particularly deserving of our last few minutes?
We're just getting lots and lots of good links of other ways also to help. And I'm sure somebody on our team is going to share the link, share the chat to help us then send it out later. I did see someone who had a hand up a minute ago, which I don't see now. Yeah, If somebody was asking to ask the question, I'm afraid I can't find it. So, oh, I know how I could do that. One sec. Just to open a list. All right.
So many good comments, just fabulous. Eugene,
Maybe it was answered.
if you need anything, get in touch with me. If you have any posts you want amplified, I'll see that they get over to DemCast to get into the toolkit and onto the Facebook page. Please let us know what we can do to be helpful going forward.
I have to
Thank you
hop
so
off
much.
then. So thank you so much, everybody. This was terrific.
Thanks, Janet. Yeah, I second that, Chuck, Eugene. Yeah, anything you need, especially on the messaging front. If you have advice about messages that would be particularly helpful to spread at a given time, or content or videos or anything like that, like get that over to us so that we can make sure it gets lots of daylight.
Lori or Nick, you want to tell Eugene when some of the results you've had when you've done a Twitter storm? How many impressions you were able to generate? We were able to generate?
Sure. Yeah. Well, just on this, so we've been using the hashtag or a few hashtags, but especially democracy, not autocracy, over the first week, basically, of our full blown campaign. That I Stand With Putin hashtag had about 400 million impressions on it, and our effort is closer to 600 million. So we're outpacing them, and this is also just sort of in the infancy. I think we'll, as we get more volunteers and more volume, the numbers are just going to go up. So
we're at 623 million this morning.
Nice. Thanks, Jamie.
And those are all organic.
Yep, we don't pay. We just mobilize.
26,000 users.
So,
which tool do you use to understand the impressions volume?
We have a couple.
Yeah. There's a proprietary tool called Meltwater that we use, and then we also use, I think, Hootsuite, right, Jamie?
Yes,
is that right?
This is on Hootsuite that I'm looking. And the number of countries is amazing.
We're
there's
getting
over 15 countries on this. So
normally, or historically, we've done more domestic stuff. So it's fun to see the that's the cool part about social media is, it's flat, right? So if we can pretty much reach anybody as long as we're not blocked from the country. So yeah, it's been really great to see so much international participation in this.
Well, we're going to wind this up, and Eugene, I don't suspect you've had a chance to look at the chat and see all the messages of love and good wishes that you stay safe and that the Ukraine ultimately is victorious. Thank you.
I have saved the chat, and I'll make sure that Eugene gets his hands on that. So.
Terrific.
Can you drop your Twitter handle one more time in there for everyone?
Yes, sure. Just a second. There it is.
Great.
Yes. Thank you. This it's incredible to see all of this support and so much action. And thank you so much, actually, for your action and helping in any way you can. This is really inspiring, and I'm sure that the victory is going to be ours, and ours, I mean, as a global community. Not just Ukraine. Like we're all in this. We were one part of this one big world, and everything will be great.
There's nothing I can say that will add to that. So thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.